Greetings to everyone from our new video that will ignite your brain and change your thoughts from the root. If you're ready, let's get straight to the point. If there is a possibility of something happening, that thing happens. Yes, our starting point is here. We can say that this is one of the fundamental claims or deductions of quantum mechanics. Again, at this point, I will ask you to forget some things. Leave our own experiences, our lives, and our perceptions aside. At this point, you will realize that, in fact, this claim is true. If there is a possibility of something happening, that thing happens. Even in the matter of life and death, yes, when it comes to living or not living, and when we think and analyze this a bit, very, very strange possibilities emerge, we find ourselves reaching a conclusion. Do you know where we are heading? Immortality, quantum immortality. When we move on to this topic, we cannot pass without mentioning the name of Hugh Everett. His story harbors an incredible drama. So, who is this Hugh Everett? Hugh Everett was a physicist known for the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, proposed in 1957. MWI suggests that every quantum event creates multiple parallel universes. Despite initial skepticism, his work has become influential in discussions on quantum reality. Everett's contributions laid the groundwork for exploring the philosophical implications of quantum mechanics. Let's get back to our topic. Let's talk about how everyone can be immortal. If the possibility of your life or non-existence is at stake due to an event, both of these possibilities must occur. In this case, if a scenario where we never die comes true, no matter how crazy it sounds, if your probability of survival is higher than 0, then you are destined to live. Think about it, the world is realizing incredible possibilities for your perspective, experiences, and the continuation of this perception. However, regardless of what happens, your perspective continues. Regardless of what happens, you continue to live. This is where quantum immortality emerges from this perspective. And it's worth mentioning from the beginning that this phenomenon is a philosophical thought experiment. It is based on theories of quantum mechanics, such as being in more than one state simultaneously, known as the superposition state, the anthropic principle, and the tendency to focus on the survivor. First of all, the anthropic principle tells us this: whatever is necessary for an observer to observe, all of that has happened. Perhaps interesting, but let's sit and think about it as people currently experiencing this life. Consider the events that brought you to watch this video, your experiences. You were born on Earth, somehow learned to speak and hear, and you have internet access. You have the time to distinguish these things, and most importantly, you could have not been born. But you were all born. As viewers of this video, we may think that none of the possibilities mentioned actually exist. We may ignore those who don't speak the same language. The joke is, perception is such a thing. Just like the light in the refrigerator, the light in the refrigerator is always on because the refrigerator is designed that way. It is designed to be on when you can see it, observe it. The anthropic principle is actually a very powerful theory everywhere. If you are standing in front of a map with "you are here" written at a stop, this statement is always true. It also explains that no one who has played Russian roulette has ever regretted it. It also explains everything seemingly impossible happening to support life like ours on Earth. When we turn to quantum immortality, what makes all of this interesting is the quantum part. For example, it explains that there must be beings like us on another planet in the universe. If there are so many possibilities, in fact, that many possibilities are unnecessary. If the probability is above 0, the answer to this problem is not possible, but it will definitely exist. This is where it departs from classical physics.
Dünya etrafındaki dönüşüne benzeterek konuya başlıyoruz.
When you walk, everything is in a certain state. The television is where it is, your house is in a certain part of a certain street, and even if you don't know where you are when you lose your keys, you know you are in a certain place. In quantum physics, all these perceptions cause the collapse of the system. The most popular example of this is the double-slit experiment. When you observe a light, it forms a double line, and when you don't observe it, when you don't intervene, it behaves like a wave. The point where things go beyond is when you send photons one by one. The strangeness goes beyond this. In fact, the most challenging part for us is here, to predict where a photon will fall. you have to calculate all possible paths it can take. This is very, very difficult. But when we ask any physics student, physicist, or chemist, there is no strangeness. This is the most normal thing in the world. It is the functioning of matter in the universe. So, they are not as excited as we are. They don't get excited about this strangeness, but that's okay. It's strange, indeed. For example, you can do everything with this double-slit experiment. It becomes more challenging as particles grow. But in theory, you can do everything with humans just like everything else because everything has a wavelength. For example, one of the largest particles in which this experiment was performed was a molecule consisting of 810 atoms. Look, not photons, not electrons. Exactly 810 of them. It's an object, you know, and at this point, our inadequacy comes to light. Our inadequacy in engineering. The reason we cannot observe quantum physics as we experience it in the macro universe is a kind of engineering obstacle, not an undiscovered physical law. Because all the experiments we have seen so far actually show that there is no distinction between quantum fruit and classical universe. On the contrary, quantum laws are universal and valid for everything and everywhere. By the way, don't worry. All of these are leading us to immortality. We're coming, slowly, and let's not confuse the claim that everything that has a probability of happening at the beginning happens with everything happens. When we talk about the universality of quantum physics laws, we can naturally fall into the misconception that we ourselves are in a superposition. So, why don't we see the other version of ourselves who accepted that job offer? Because the probability of that really is zero. In other words, if you are here right now, it's done. You are here. Possibilities have collapsed. Even if you are in different situations, the interaction between these different versions is impossible. In fact, as a group who has collectively embarked on a journey into the depths of quantum physics, we can explain it like this: remember Schrödinger's cat? We don't know if it's dead or alive until we measure it. We assume both are correct. Quantum physicists led by Niels Bohr approach this situation as follows: when someone opens the box and looks inside, we collapse all possibilities into a single probability. That is, if the cat is alive, the probability of it being dead at that moment has disappeared forever, they say. However, another interpretation arising from quantum physics is the many worlds theory. According to this theory, when we open the door and see the cat alive, we are actually opening another universe where the cat is dead. So, when our copy in another universe opens the door, they see that the cat is dead. You're actually opening the door twice here, in another world, in another universe, in another body. But the problem here is this: there is zero chance of knowing about your other self. We can liken this point to two separate paths that have diverged and will never come together again. When you turn right, you're actually turning left at the same time, but at that moment, you're opening doors in another universe. You can never test this. It's very simple. You can take Schrödinger's place. Let's put the physicist testing the box instead of the cat. Now, the test is the same, but let's increase the number of radioactive atoms and greatly reduce the probability of survival. For example, let's say there is a 50% chance that at least one of the 100 atoms will decay within 1 second. That is, the physicist's chances of survival are very low. The purpose of this is this: if multiple universes are correct, and even though the chances of survival are very low when we repeat this experiment countless times, it's not zero. Logically, he may survive once, and in one of these universes, our physicist will emerge unscathed from the box amid the bewildered looks of those in the laboratory. But there will be something forgotten here. According to the many worlds theory, our physicist will have already died countless times. In countless universes, he will receive treatment like the man who rode a rocket in the news to prove that the world is flat, and he will top the list of the most absurd deaths in different lists. We won't know he's a hero in one universe. Now, let's talk about the man behind this crazy idea, Hugh Everett's story. Hugh Everett, a physicist, was truly an obsessed man. Only his work and theories were at the center of his life. He had a problematic and distant relationship with his wife and children. All his time was devoted to developing theories, especially those about multiple universes and the multiverse, and he also had a dependence on cigarettes and alcohol. A truly brilliant man, Everett, while working at the Pentagon, received news his daughter had attempted suicide. When Everett heard the news, the only thing he said was, "I didn't know I was this sad." His daughter survived, but the sentence he formed in the face of this event summarized his relationship with his family and children. He had constantly neglected his children and family, and unfortunately, he didn't have time to fix it. Shortly after his daughter's suicide attempt, at the age of 52, he died from a heart attack due to his addictions. But his daughter later attempted suicide again and unfortunately succeeded this time. The note she left behind said, "I'm going to meet my father one last time in another universe." If you've watched the series Dark, there is a similar event there. Numerous references to quantum mechanics are made in multiple and parallel universes. As you can see from Hugh Everett's story, perhaps he became obsessed with having another chance in multiple universes to correct his personal mistakes and start everything anew, hoping to fix everything. This is a theory that we can consider from a highly theoretical and philosophical perspective. It is impossible to test, as you can understand. However, if there is a grain of truth, perhaps in another universe, another Hugh Everett is having conversations with his children and enjoying Sunday breakfasts together, and maybe in this universe, we haven't made the same mistakes as in other universes. We've reached the end of another video. If you enjoyed our video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to stay informed about new videos.